The bad news is that, as you all know by now, there was a tragic plane crash. American Airlines jet collided with a helicopter, a military helicopter. And I'll get you the details in a second. It absolutely wrecks me because I've never been a great flyer. I can't imagine what would happen in that situation. Loved ones, all of that, first responders. It's my worst nightmare. And to see it happen after so many years of not seeing it happen in this country, it's frustrating that it would even happen at all with technology these days. And that's why there's a lot to dig into with this. So, it's believed to be the worst U.S. aviation disaster in 25 years. That's kind of how I'm leading this off. 64 are believed to be deceased from the plane. It's 60 passengers and 4 crew members. 3 military individuals were on the helicopter. Apparently, it's not uncommon for the military helicopter to fly the river, they call it, at night or during the day. But just quick details, Flight 5342, it was a Bombardier CRJ 700, which I believe is a Canadian airliner, and it seats about 70 people, I believe. And it's used a lot of American Eagle flights, the smaller flights. This one was from Wichita, Kansas, up to Reagan International, which is in Washington, D.C. So these military choppers are up there, and they fly the Potomac River for training, for routine flight. I don't know exactly what they do, but this was a training. We came to find out, and apparently, what that means is not necessarily they're beginners. In fact, apparently they have 1,500 hours between them, and they're experienced. But they do routine each year to go ahead and a night flight, an annual night flight check, kind of a test, if you will, each year, I guess, is how they do it. And so that was one of these. And the chopper is a Sikorsky model, I guess, H-60, and it's a typical Army Black Hawk that you've heard of. Usually they're for transporting, I think, senior staff, senior military advisors, senior military, any title. And this time, I don't think it was the case. I think these were not senior military people. And, it's fucking cold. That river's cold. So when they went into the river, both aircrafts, I imagine it was already kind of, it was an explosion. I can't imagine that there was much to it other than boom, and then everything fell. If anybody was surviving in that river, they weren't going to last too long. You've got the cold shock. And what I was reading was that it's 15 to 30 minutes maximum, that before you become unconscious because of the cold. That's not a long time for first responders, especially if you're kind of trapped in your seat or if you made it. I don't even know. I'm reading reports. I'm refreshing as much as I can. And so at this point, this is what I've got. Almost a little less than 24 hours after it happened. So there's a lot to this. And as usual, I'm not going to give you a news report. That what I just did was enough of the news. I want to dissect it a little bit and attack this at people's reactions and the difference in people's reactions. And the fact that instead of just coming together and saying we want the best, we want to figure this out, we wish the best, thoughts and prayers, all that to the family members. Everybody's spitting at each other again, politicizing it, so on and so forth. I'll start with the president. Donald Trump said the crash, he believes very strongly, and he's repeated this all day long, that it could have been prevented. And he says, clear night, good visibility, no reason that this should have happened. And his big thing is that he has ideas. He claims he has ideas on why it happened. Maybe not exactly why it happened, but what led to the tragedy. So, of course, you've got everybody firing back at him. How dare he claim this, and that? And it's become back and forth. I mean, I try to read down CNN because I try and get opposition views and different views, and it's just terrible. Every update is Trump this and Trump that, and he falsely did this. He doesn't have any evidence. He's giving you he's got more in than you, CNN. He's briefed as the president of the United States. So take it easy. Donald is Donald. I agree. Maybe he should wait a little bit, but why? Why wait? If he knows something that you don't, or something that we don't as civilians, then go ahead. Say you have an idea. Say what happened. He's not afraid to call people out anymore. And we'll get to that. The American Airlines CEO said he threw the military chopper and its pilots right under the bus. He said, "I'm unsure why the helicopter came into the path of the PSA aircraft." Boom. That's all he said. Well, that insinuates he believes the chopper was at fault and its pilots. Let me tell you, people, I saw a video, and I'm going to try and put it up. I'm going to try and put it up as I explain it. And hopefully I can get you the close-up version. I saw a video, hopefully it's over here, that it's at night, so it's hard, but you see the lights of both aircrafts. You see the helicopter just beelining at this jet coming in. It was clear for landing. And this chopper is just beelining for it. And there's many reasons. I've been reading up on Black Hawk pilots' testimonials today, trying to help us, educate us on how the error could have happened and how much is going on during these flights. But it was, look, you're seeing it. It was beelining at it, and then it just hit it. I don't know how either plane and helicopter didn't see each other. I'm not a pilot. I will talk to my airline pilot friend and see what he thinks about this. But it just seems to me like if you're looking out, it's kind of vast. It's kind of like you should be able to see lights that are a couple hundred yards away from you, and at least avoid it. At least have a near miss or whatever they call it. But anyway, hopefully that video right there gave you some idea as to what happened if you hadn't seen it already. The transportation secretary, the new one under Trump, is Sean Duffy. And he said he agreed. He doubled down with Donald. This was absolutely preventable, and we will do everything in our power to make sure it doesn't happen again. And of course, he's got to say that. Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, said he's more on the military side of things. He said these are a fairly experienced crew doing an annual night evaluation, and they had night vision goggles. What I've heard about night vision goggles, and for those of you who are night vision goggle professionals, because on social media I know I'm going to get somebody who says I'm incorrect, it's hard to see other aircraft and the lights with night vision goggles. I know these people are adequately trained to use them. I just feel like it would be more likely that a mistake be made if you have them on versus off in a clear night where there are lights involved. And runways and airport. Tell me I'm wrong. All you night vision goggle experts out there. But Trump said, to add on to what he was saying, he believes the standard has been lowered for aircraft controllers. So I believe that's what he's getting at, is that the aircraft controllers made the error. They didn't specify. Apparently there was a log of what was said, and the air traffic controller said, hello, I don't know the codes, and do you see the aircraft coming in? And I don't know if there was a response, but he said, it's just look for the aircraft. Okay, well, there's no detail there. There was nothing. There was no, it's at 11 o'clock and it's at 300 feet. He should have all that technology right in front of him. So I agree. I don't understand. That's their whole job. It turns out, this was something I just read before we started tonight. Turns out there was only one guy doing two jobs in the air traffic control tower. Now, whether or not that was the reason, I don't know. We'll see. But that's not good. If this didn't happen, maybe something else happens. If one guy's doing two jobs in something as serious as air traffic control. But of course, CNN, Trump, without evidence, blames the diversity push. He blames the diversity push for the collision. I'm going to try and hurry here because I have something else I wanted to do tonight but this happened and I needed to talk about it. This is a part of the DEI stuff I was talking about the last couple shows. Let me reiterate to you people, he's not claiming that people that fall in that category cannot do the job. But the standards for testing, for whether it's interviewing, for whatever makes the best and the brightest for this job, which has people's lives in their hands every day, those standards were lowered. And that's something that he is saying as a factual statement. You can't argue that. He's not saying that certain people can't do it. He's saying if they're lowered so that people could just do it easier, people say, oh, it's an opportunity for these people. Okay, the opportunity should be a chance to get into the training and then hold them to the highest standards. This is similar to piloting. This is the firefighter issue. If somebody is not the best and brightest in that tower, they should not be there. I don't care what color, sexual preference, I don't care. It should be the best. And that's all he's saying. And if anybody says otherwise, oh, no, that's not true. How are you saying this? Argue with me that the best minds shouldn't be at these types of positions. You can't argue it unless you're an idiot. Let's move on. Democrats, it's important not to speculate. Really? Is it? People that say that are usually kind of trying to defend something, and it's usually a sign of guilt. It was okay. It's okay for them to speculate about all these things about Donald Trump before they had evidence. They still don't have evidence, but they're sure still labeling him things. Anyway, I had to get that in there. The Secretary of Defense, again, said the mistake was made by the helicopter. He thinks there was an elevation issue. So he's basically admitting that it was, in fact, a pilot error on the helicopter's end. And that I read somewhere they were above where they should have been for the maximum height. And so if that's true, man, that seems like a pretty big error. So we need to figure out what happened there. So is the air traffic control issue off the hook? Anyway, so that's that. I wanted to give you a little bit of something to think about with this DEI thing. I don't understand why people have such a hard time with this. If you're one of the people that falls into that category, I get it. It's a little uncomfortable, but you're looking to play defense immediately when you're not thinking about what it really means. You should want the best and brightest as well. That's not to say you can't be that. It's just to say don't lower the standards. That's lowering the standards and calling it DEI inclusion or whatever it is, DEI hiring, it should insult you if you are one of those people, because what they're claiming is that you're not able to compete at this level. They got to bring you here to compete. And that's not true. I don't believe that. But yeah, you're yelling at me. Something to think about.